should you move to Florida?
Or should you wait?
In this video, we're going to give you the factors you should consider.
And then we're going to give you what we ultimately think is the best choice for you, and it's going to be somewhat individualized.
And we're getting started right now.
So first things first, I think for a lot of people, some people this is going to be different, and we'll give you those details later in the video. But I think for most people, it would make sense to wait maybe at least a month from when this video is coming out to see how the market shifts, how things are going to play out, especially with the interest rates going up. That's going to probably affect inventory, inflation going up. That'll probably also affect, supply, demand, inventory, how many people are trying to all bid on the same house. We might see that sort of cool off.
Yes, and we have already started to see this trend happening, but that's mainly on houses that maybe they were overpriced to begin with. So they do tend to sit a little bit longer on the market because the seller is trying to get as close to the asking price as possible, even though the property most likely or not was overpriced to begin with.
And to be clear on this advice, I think it's, for most people, smart to wait that month and then not just say, okay, well now I'm going to buy or I'm not going to buy ever. Take that month and then from there, we'll see where things are looking, and that should give you an idea of, okay, maybe prices are going to drop more, maybe they're going to stay the same. It's going to be an interesting dynamic the next few months, but I don't think we're going to see a crash like a lot of people think because of the inventory issues, but maybe we could see prices go back to where they were 2 years ago, which to some people they might consider that a crash. Like some houses like right now are worth $400,000, maybe 2 years ago were like $275,000, $300,000 in the Venice area that we're living anyway.
Yes, and if prices go back down to those, pre-COVID pricing, I wouldn't call that a crash personally. I would just call that a price correction. Prices going back down to what they were or what they should be. But yes, I wouldn't call it necessarily a crash. Trend that I've noticed with a lot of buyers right now is that they are still trying to get a deal, which if you're buying something, you're always, that's just human nature. You're always going to try and get a good deal or feel like what you paid for was fair. But in this market, specifically 2022, we're in April 2022. If you want to hunt for a deal, right now it's not the market for you. Right now you shouldn't be buying unless you're willing to wait up like a month or two, kind of like keep an eye on the market and see how things are changing, if they're changing. But if you want to get a deal, right now it's not the market for you to purchase a property.
Yeah, I'd say the only option really if you're trying to get a deal is maybe something that's already been on the market for a while and there's probably something that's causing it. Maybe it's just really terrible pictures in the listing. Maybe it's something wrong with the house. Maybe it's location. Really hard to say, but you're probably going to have to be willing to deal with something that's an issue to get that price reduction, maybe that you're looking, get something under the asking price. Otherwise, it's probably not going to happen as of right now. Again, maybe in a month things change.
And again, houses that do sit on the market for a while are houses that are overpriced. A house that is priced accordingly to the market we're in right now, because for some people it's overpriced, but houses that are priced accordingly to the market we're in right now tend to sell very, very quickly and go over the asking price.
And to be clear on something I mentioned, I don't think necessarily in a month you're going to see this dramatic change, but you might, be able to get in a sense of where things are heading. It might take 6 months, a year, who knows really how long for things to really start to balance back out if they do.
But at least if you take, that month or two to kind of study the market and see what trends are and where the market is headed, maybe you'll be able to make a better decision. Okay, or prices are coming down, but they just seem to be leveling off. So yeah, you can make a better decision if you are willing to wait it out.
And we'll be keeping you updated on this channel with what's going on in the market, so you can always subscribe and turn on notifications so you know what's going on. So one thing to consider, and again, you got to weigh the pros and cons here, but if you're just deciding, I'm just going to move down to Florida and I'm just going to rent and I'm going to wait it out, one thing to consider is you are missing out on a lot of equity, right? I mean, if you're paying for rent, number one, rent is almost always going to be higher than the cost of a mortgage.
Yes.
And that money is just going to the landlord.
Or that money is going to pay the mortgage for the landlord.
Right. Whereas you could be paying that money and it's basically going back into your pocket. you're having equity in the house, and as the market goes up, if it continues to go up, you'll be cashing in on that as well. So that's something to consider when you're making this decision. I'm sure a lot of you probably are, but that's one thing I think worth considering if you're deciding if you're going to wait it out or not. And then outside of that, personal factors. If you do need to move right now, then why not just buy a house? The only thing to consider on the other end of that is if prices do go way back down and you overpaid for a place, now you're kind of sitting there with a place that is underwater. So that's...
But if you're not planning to sell, so if you're planning to move to a new home, it doesn't have to be to a new area, but a new home, if you're not going into that purchase with the mindset that you're just going to sell it in a couple of months or a year to cash in on it, then yeah, by all means, go ahead and purchase something right now, because if you're planning to make that your, maybe not your forever home, but for a while,
yeah, like 6, 7 at least years, I would say 7 years minimum, then
that like prices coming down won't affect you as much. Another thing to consider too is that rental monthly payments are going up. So the housing market is appreciating, your rental is going up, you're not getting a better house for your money, you're still getting the same, but you're paying more. And a lot of landlords are actually selling their properties because they're cashing in. Maybe they bought those properties in 2008 when they were $70,000. Right now they can sell it for $400,000, $500,000. So they're cashing in on that, and now they're leaving all those people, all those renters, without a place to be in.
And that's another big thing to consider with waiting it out or not is, do you want to be somewhere where you're renting? And now there's a lot of things that go along with that. They could sell the place, now you don't have a place to stay. They could really increase the price of your monthly rental payment. Yeah. Whereas a mortgage, you have a fixed payment. Plus on top of that, if you're renting, you don't have any control really over the property, how it looks. Maybe you don't like the lawn or the landscaping if you're renting a house, something that's going on in the building if it's a multi-unit thing. So having your own house or condo, you have a lot more control over some of those variables. Condos, you don't have as much because you're kind of giving that up to the association. Yeah. But if it's your own house, and you can say, I want the lawn to look this way, I want to paint the house this color, within reason, of course, if you're an HOA for that as well. So it just gives you a little bit more options, flexibility, and stability, and you're kind of in control of your destiny versus kind of certain things being put on someone else with your living situation.
Yeah, and if something breaks too in the house, if it's your house, you don't have an option, like you have to fix it. But if your landlord has to come in and fix it, I've heard of landlords not fixing whatever things break in the house, so they're not fixing it. So now it's up to you, the renter, to fix it because it's going to affect your way of life. So this is now out-of-pocket money that's coming from you on a property that's not yours, and that can be sold and leave you homeless. Another thing to consider is that prices are still going up.
And that could make it harder to move if you decide, like, I'm going to wait it out. And, if prices continue to go up, especially when you add in that extra interest rate, that's going to change things.
So to give you an idea how interest rates and appreciation can affect your monthly budget, we are going to go over some numbers here with you. So say you found a home right now that costs $300,000. If you want to wait and you decide that you want to wait 6 months, that same property, if the market keeps doing what it's doing right now and it keeps appreciating about 5%, that same house will cost you $316,000. So you lost equity of $16,000 for not making the purchase 6 months ago. If you wait a year, that number comes up to $324,000. So you lost equity of $24,000 for waiting a year. And again, this is assuming the market keeps doing what it's doing right now.
So basically, on top of that too, not just missing out on the equity, you're maybe losing the opportunity to even be able to purchase something if it prices you out. Now, that being said, with interest rates going up, I don't know that the appreciation is going to keep happening, but with interest rates going up, even if the home values go down, your monthly payment's still going to go out, and it could still price you out of the market. So I think really, and we're seeing this right now, maybe by the time this video comes out, it's going to be too late, but you're seeing a lot of people trying to like buy something now before interest gets too much higher, and that's, if the interest keeps going up and the appreciation, I mean, a lot of people are just going to be priced out of a lot of markets.
Yes, and we are experiencing that already right now. We're looking at around 5% interest rate, and that's assuming you have a good credit score. 5% interest rate, prices are still high. So a lot of people are already priced out of the market because interest rates are high and so are property values.
And there is speculation too that those rates could go as high as 7. I've even heard some people say double digits.
Yes.
So if that happens, that's going to price a lot of people. But on the flip side, there's just no way to me that they go up that high and prices don't come down. So there is that dynamic to pay attention to. And again, waiting a month might make sense, or buy like right now. Like right now.
And again, if you're looking at making this investment, the people that should be buying right now, and this is like how I personally feel, are the people that are looking to stay in that home and stay put for a little while. Because if you're looking to buy right now and then sell within a couple of years, I feel like that might be a mistake, just because we don't know. We don't know if the market's going to come down or if it's going to continue to go up. It's just different times right now, and we just don't know what will happen in the future. So if you're looking at buying and staying put for a little while, I think go right ahead. If you're looking to buy and either get a deal or looking for appreciation to sell within a year or two, I don't think you should be buying right now.
Yeah, I think with rates going up, we might see a little more inventory, a little less demand and less competitiveness. But ultimately, I think we also need to see something happen with the supplies, building supplies be more available, prices going down, so builders can start to catch up and meet the demand. They are building more than they have been. That has been trending up, but still, it's just not enough. It's not enough.
Something I've experienced with a lot of buyers is the if it's meant to be mentality. If you have that mentality right now in 2022, that, you know, if the house was meant to be, or it was your forever home and it was meant to be, that you are going to be able to buy it. Don't have that mentality right now, just because we're not in if it's meant to be it's meant to be times. Because if, say, you found a home that you really, really love, $300,000 is the listing price, and you go in with that if it's meant to be mentality, it's going to happen, and you ask me to write a contract for you for $295, so $5,000 under asking price, it's not meant to be. It's not going to work. The seller is not going to take that offer. They are more likely than not going to receive multiple offers above asking. So meant to be mentality, not a good mentality to be in right now.
Yeah, if you actually need a house, you need to buy something right now, or really want to, it's a competitive market, so you need to compete. You can't leave it up to chance. That's like playing a sport and not practicing, or not deciding you're going to give your full effort in the game and expecting to win. It just doesn't work that way. That's the way the market is. It's competitive. So things like the type of loan that you're using, do you have more cash? That's going to be beneficial. Are you going to be willing to go over asking costs? If you're not in a mindset or willing to do that, and you're not in a crunch to move, again, maybe it is better to wait, assuming hopefully prices come down. Yes. But again, the interest rates coming up will make it kind of challenging. So that's something to consider. And one of the things that go along with that, I think, is, look, you're not just losing out on equity by buying now, you're also losing out on maybe the life that you want. If you've always had this dream of moving to Florida, or you just wanted to try it out might not be a good time. But if you've always wanted to move here and you know that you want to be here, you're missing out on time in the sun, being on the beach, getting out of the cold, all the things that maybe you don't have where you are that you want that are here. You're missing out on time on that and your quality of life. So that's something to consider. And don't look at this as us trying to tell you you need to buy now once again, because I think every person is different. But if that's the situation for you, I think it is a good choice to go all in. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make it happen. I'm not going to leave it up to meant to be.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're in that meant to be mentality, whenever I encounter this with my buyers, what I do is I'll tell them, and I'll tell you, don't go after the places that just came on the market or have been on the market for 7 days or a week or 2 weeks, because more likely than not, the seller is just waiting for a good offer to come in to get close to their asking price. It doesn't mean that they are not receiving offers. It doesn't mean that they're just, waiting for any offer to come in. It's just they're waiting to get close to asking because they know that they can, if not more than asking. So what I would suggest is looking at homes that have been on the market longer. So 2.5 weeks, maybe, even then it's kind of like a stretch, but 2.5 weeks to 30 days, a month, over a month, those are the houses that you want to maybe not go in so low that you offend the seller, but go in with an offer that you feel you feel comfortable with, but don't expect the seller to just take it either because they are always going to, as long as you don't offend the seller, they are going to come back and counter that offer.
Especially if it's been on the market that long, that means they either haven't got any offers that are close to what they want, or just they're not getting a lot of offers, so maybe then your offer has a higher chance of being considered, and then they're willing to have a conversation.
And some sellers are very stubborn in this market right now because they feel almost entitled to whatever they're asking for their property, that they should get more, and they will not even consider an offer that's not close to what they want. And that could be anything from it's too low of an offer, the inspection period is too high, even if you go in at 5-7 days, maybe they don't want to deal with that. The type of loan, is it an FHA loan, a VA, a conventional, or do you have cash? There is a lot of different factors that play into that, and some sellers are going to be a little more stubborn than others, and those are the houses that do sit on the market for a while.
And we've even encountered some people where they're making these really weird particular things that only sell to people with certain type of loan from a certain type of bank, and people that have walked through it to the point where it's almost like they don't want to
sell your home or not.
So it's like that gives you a sense of for how much power the sellers feel like they have right now. So going really, really low offer, probably not
a good idea. Yeah.
Another thing to consider if you're making the move to Florida, especially from out of state or from maybe just within a different city in Florida, is are you moving from a more expensive place to a less expensive place? Because then the whole change in equity and the percentage of overpayment people are doing right now works in your favor if you are going to a less expensive home. If you get 10% more for the house that you are selling and you pay 10% more for a house that's, way less, that 10% is going to work in your favor because you're getting more on the house that you're selling.
Exactly, you're still coming out ahead. And also a lot of different out-of-state buyers that I work with, they look at our home prices here in Florida and it's like, oh wow, like that's actually pretty affordable. So for some people, Florida in our area is still affordable. For some people, it's like more comparable, I would say. And for some people, like maybe like the Midwest is like, oh, that's expensive.
It's more expensive. then it would work in the opposite. Yes. It would not work in your favor. So that's something to think about. If it is more expensive for you, now, that appreciation is working against you. So then maybe, that's the thing that keeps you from moving, or maybe you just flat out can't afford it because of it.
So should you move to Florida or should you wait?
Well, we got a lot of people watching our channel that want to move to Venice, Florida. In this video right here, we talk about who should not move to Venice, Florida. And in this video, we talk about what you should do before moving to Florida, period.
If you're looking to buy or sell a home in the area, make sure to call, text, or email me. I am a local realtor here in the Venice, Sarasota areas. My information will be in the description box below.
Be sure to like, subscribe, turn on all notifications, and live breezy.